On our agenda is the blueprint update. Dr. Sampson?
Good afternoon, President Claggett, Dr. Townsell, members of the board. My name is Joe Sampson III. I'm the coordinator for Maryland Leads Grant and Blueprint for Maryland's Future. Today, you'll be provided with a review of our status with the Accountability and Implementation Board, expert review teams update, national board certification update, and career counseling status. As you may recall, our implementation plan was submitted March 15th, 2023. Since then, we received AIB approval for our implementation plan with the requirement that we finalize our Career Counseling Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, with the Tri-County Council for Southern Maryland. Specifically, we were asked to provide an agreed-upon budget for the Career Counseling Program to accompany the MOU. I'm happy to report that we've submitted the agreed-upon budget to the AIB and have no further requirements for our March implementation plan. Our expert review teams is a comprehensive school review process initiated by the Maryland State Department of Education, or MSDE, to support the implementation of the Blueprint for Maryland's Future in schools and districts across the state. MSDE indicated that there are 300 reviewers that they're looking to hire, and each LEA has reviewers. I'm currently waiting on a list from MSDE in terms of how many additional reviewers are from Calvert County. Once that application closed and they did interviews, they're going to send us a list so we know who's certified in our county. However, reviewers will not visit schools in their own district once those reviews begin. All schools in the state of Maryland will be reviewed over time based on a defined selection process for the order of school visits. Schools will be rated by category based on an approved rubric, and that information will be shared publicly and made available to schools prior to school visits occurring. Districts may request review of a school that's not on the list, and that request process will be coming out soon. As of August 22nd, there are tentatively 6 CCPS schools to be reviewed this year, but that list has not been approved by the AIB. However, we may be getting confirmation as soon as September 21st at the next AIB meeting. For our national board update, national board certification is prioritized in the blueprint and continues to be a priority in CCPS in terms of increasing our number of teachers who are national board certified. Currently, we have 19 teachers with national board certification. Of those 19, all are women, and 1 minority among all 19 national board certified teachers. Efforts were made to recruit additional high quality and diverse teachers to expand and diversify our candidate cohort and eventually our certified teacher list. The more teachers we recruit for the process, obviously the higher our odds for diversifying and expanding our numbers. Part of our recruiting efforts were evident during fall interest meeting, which was held virtually on September 6th, and we had really good attendance at that meeting after those personal invitations were sent, and we asked principals to also recommend teachers that they see are high quality and diverse as well. And so we extended invitations to those staff. For our career counseling program, we have signed the Memorandum of Understanding with the College of Southern Maryland and Tri-County Council for Southern Maryland to provide career counseling services to all students in grades 6 through 12. CCPS will be hiring, with Blueprint funding, 10 career advisors. 1 will be placed full-time at each middle and high school, These are 10-month case employees. Additionally, one career advisor will serve as the career advisor coordinator. That individual will work 11 months and help to coordinate between Calvert County Public Schools, College of Southern Maryland, and the Tri-County Council for Southern Maryland. Interviews have taken place and career advisors will begin in schools in early October. When career advisors start, they'll spend much of their first days in schools getting to know students and the building, in addition to completing onboarding training that'll be provided by the Tri-County Council. We look forward to providing detailed information about the program and plans at an upcoming Board of Education meeting. But what you can expect currently is for the hired staff to work with students in the following 4 areas. So career and self-awareness, where they basically will learn about career paths, job functions, industries, fields, and roles. Career exploration and identification, where they would, let me back up. So career and self-awareness, where they would explore strengths, skills, and interests. The career exploration and identification, they will learn about the paths, industries, fields, and roles. For career prep and planning, identify career fields of interest and create their college and career readiness plans. And then career competencies and training, in order to increase equitable access to supports that enable successful employment and retention. Calvert County Public Schools is establishing ongoing collaboration with institutions of higher learning and other partners to develop a shared set of career readiness competencies, which will be incorporated in the career advising work. The career advising program will also provide support to students to help access work-based learning experiences, such as internships and apprenticeships. Our steering committee is currently planning school-based community forums for staff starting this fall. These community meetings will be held by feeder pattern and designed with specific pillars in mind. The goal is for these to be deep engagement sessions to gain blueprint perspective and positional impact, meaning how our proposed implementation affects staff directly. A protocol is being developed to ensure the depth of responses provides us with the information needed to determine future implementation plans. School feeder pattern focus groups will also be designed as listening sessions so that staff have a chance to express thoughts, hopes, fears, and opportunities regarding the blueprint in Calvert County. So for our next steps, moving forward, we wait for guidance from MSDE, and our timeline is indicated on this slide. The AIB indicated we should receive outcome measures to prepare us for the writing and implementation of Phase 2 in October. The expert review team site visits are scheduled to begin across the state in October. So again, once those dates and schools are identified, we will provide that information. Our focus groups with staff will begin in November, and dates will be published as soon as we confirm those. And our plan is to hold 2 town hall meetings, just as we did last year, in December and February for the community, leading up to our planned submission in March of 2024. That concludes my blueprint update. Are there any questions?
Colleagues? Ms. Grennis?
When you're talking those stakeholder engagements, is this occurring at elementary, middle, and high school?
So the idea is that we would have one site where elementary, middle, and high come together.
So they all meet at the same time?
Yeah, and we would do that in different locations across the county.
Okay, and one other question. When you're talking career counseling for students from 6th grade to 12th grade, you know, I'm thinking of a 6th grader who probably has like a wide array of possibilities that they want to go to. How hard is it for them to cross over into a different area? Like, I'm thinking if a child maybe has the perspective that they want to go into maybe a CTA program, but then, 10th grade, they switch to a college path. Is that possible? Or, I'm worried, are we starting this too young?
I don't believe we are, because in the middle school, it's about exploration and providing them with exposure to those different things. They're not necessarily committing to a path that early.
So they're not being tracked onto something? Okay.
No, they're not.
That makes more sense.
I have a follow-up to that. A lot of my peers that I've talked to cross-county, my class of 2025, is the first class that was affected by the addition of the Health 2 curriculum, and it was implemented when, I promise I have a point. It was implemented when we were freshmen in high school, which meant we had already created our 4-year plan for what we wanted to do, the credits that we wanted to receive, so that we would be able to project ourselves into a better position going into college. So with that being said, we weren't thinking about that before the end of 8th grade. It wasn't something that we were concerned about, creating these 4-year plans and molding it to make sure that it was effective. So, very similar question to Ms. Grennis. Do we really think it's effective to have career counseling to such a degree beyond exploration? I mean, I explored, my peers explored when we were in 6th grade. We had like career sessions. We sat down, we took a test, and we researched like 10 different careers. And that was great because my peers were talking about what they wanted to do, what they wanted to get into. They were exploring. So is it really going to be effective putting people into place before the end of 8th grade if our students are already getting something out of what we have?
So the internships and apprenticeships are designed for the high school students. And again, that's just hands-on experience and exposure. I don't know that we're necessarily asking middle school students to make a decision. It's more so just showing them what's available and allowing them to explore that as they go through those years.
This isn't something you touched on, but I'm just curious. Are the community service credits going to change under the blueprint?
I have not heard any indication that that'll be the case. There hasn't been any discussion of that.
Okay, thank you.
To piggyback on what Ms. Hayes said, Ms. Hayes, I think one positive with the internships and a student touching base with something that interests them, they learn in high school if they like it or not. Whereas once they leave high school, then they can make a decision to change gears, go to post-secondary education, go into a different trade school, learn something differently. So I look at it as a positive. The earlier we learn and figure out what we think we like, but we may not like, the better, because it allows for more time for us to course correct and do something different, to move into areas that do interest us. So I guess it could be a positive and a negative, depending on how you look at it.
Just to follow up. I absolutely agree with having hands-on experiences, internships, things like that, coming into high school, 100%. I see my peers benefiting from the CTA program. The biomedical pathway offers internships and shadowing senior year, and my peers benefit from that every day. I stand questioning how effective it would be implementing so early into middle school.
My 2 cents on that is that, you can't start early enough. And I see one of the, we used to, my husband had an engineering company, and we would go into the middle schools, and he would get tremendous questions, when they had career night, or career day, whatever it's called. And he would get, be asked incredibly insightful questions, by middle schoolers. And if they had been, and then when they got into high school, my husband would give engineering awards to some students. And I remember him saying, if only they had known to start along that path a little bit earlier, it would have made their time in high school a lot better. So I'm all for career counseling. I'm so glad we're getting them even in every middle school. I do hope that we can utilize them to the full extent that's helpful to the students and the staff. But could you, I must have missed this, because we normally do get job postings, but could we get job descriptions, but like specific duties, you know, how they spend their days, how many students they think they will be touching, you know, not touching, but interacting with during the day? And also, who do these people report to?
So we can definitely provide the job description. However, that is still kind of evolving as the program evolves, but the general job description on the posting we can provide. And it may look different at different schools based on the needs of students that the
Right.
career advisors are working with.
Right.
And then what was your second question again?
I'd just like to know who they report to, who the career
So,
counselors.
Ms. Akins, Ms. Carrie Akins, the
So it is-
principal of CTA
And
and director of
Director
CTE,
of CTE,
will
right.
be their direct supervisor.
Super. Because, you know, I know that middle schoolers get glimpses of CTA, but if they could be, you know, from sixth grade on, saying, you know, if you have this interest, here's what we actually have here in our county, you know, as far as a pathway goes. So just a little bit earlier introduction, perhaps, because that's our goal, right, is to eventually get, 45% of all students graduating either through or graduating with a certification or
Or apprenticeship,
or what?
apprenticeship.
Or apprenticeship, right? And so we really need to emphasize the career side of things, and it's great that the state is helping us to afford that. Thank you.
I just want to point out something that I'm familiar with CTA doing. They've actually, I think last year was the first year where they did like a trick or treat for children to get children into the building, and they got to see the different things offered. And that's, you're talking elementary at that level, which I thought was really cool.
Great community engagement event, too. I want to go back to slide number 3, where you talk about the tentative 6 and CPS. So when you say tentative, have they given us the names and they've just said that's not approved, or have they not leaked any information regarding who the schools may be?
Information was shared at a state board meeting, but they told us that that information is not to be shared because it has not been made official.
All right, thanks for that clarification. And then to the next slide regarding national board certification, what are the barriers for the lack of diversification, the lack of diversity when it comes to NBC, and what can possibly we, the board, do to increase that diversity?
So we haven't yet identified those. We ask candidates why or why not. And I just spoke to one today, actually, who's decided not to and asked the reasons. And in that particular case, they're closer to retirement than not, and would prefer not to do that at this time. So it varies among the potential candidates. But that's something that we definitely want to look more into to determine what those barriers might be. But I do know that sometimes, because we had some folks that we talked to in other counties, it's a matter of support and what that support looks like and where that support comes from. So that's why we're also trying to ramp up our support structure here in Calvert County and expand our national board facilitators who help candidates through that process.
Okay, so when you say support, you mean support meaning mentoring and having assistance as far as that, or do you mean financial?
Support, assistance aside from financial.
Okay, thank you. And then regarding the career counseling, are you able to share a copy of the MOU with the board?
Yes.
If you could do that, we would appreciate it. And then also, you mentioned that the budget is finalized. Just to clarify, the budget will be administered by the school system, or will Tri-County be administering the budget?
We will be administering the budget.
Okay, thank you. That's all my questions. Mr. White, do you have any? All right.
No,
Oh,
one
Ms.
more.
Galinsky.
The expert review teams, what kind of commitment is required by the schools who were chosen? Time commitment.
So 5 weeks prior to a visit, schools will be asked for a list of documentation or supporting items or artifacts. And we don't have what is in that, what's included in that list, but schools will be provided that information at least 5 weeks prior to a visit. And then the review lasts 2 days. So in terms of a time commitment, it's 2 days over the course of 2 school days where you have focus groups and classroom reviews. And so 3 reviewers will go into classrooms all day, and then 3 reviewers will host focus groups. And those are 45-minute sessions. And then all that data is collected, and then the report comes out and provided to schools.
So when you say focus groups, that's focus groups of teachers
Teachers and administrators and parents.
and what, sorry?
Parents.
Parents. Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
And the expert review teams, are they experts from outside of Calvert County? Are they,
So those that come and review schools in Calvert County will be outside of Calvert County.
okay, and do we have expert reviewers? Do we have those who have signed up to be expert reviewers for other locations that work here in Calvert County?
Could you say that one more time?
Do we have, are there expert reviewers or folks who have signed up to be expert reviewers who work here in Calvert County that would go to other locations?
We have 3 right now that I'm aware of.
Okay.
And so I've requested a list since they've just hired more
Okay,
to find out who those individuals are in Calvert County.
okay, thanks.
What are the,
Ms. Hayes?
sorry,
Go ahead.
what are the qualifications or like requirements for a school to be approved or considered for this?
Good question. So there is a 6-point ranking list that is used, and it goes from lowest performing school, low performing school, high performing school, lowest growth, and then you have random selection not otherwise noted in the other categories, just so that they have a cross-section of schools that are going to be reviewed.
All right.
Well,
Ms.
wait, one last
Belinsky.
thing, it just keeps bringing up questions. So I imagine they will come up with recommendations for improvement, these teams?
There could be recommendations for improvement as well as highlighting of best practices, but the idea is to get both across the state in order to push the work forward across all systems.
But I mean, sending someone into a particular school means they're trying to effect improvements for that school. So, right, they're supposed to get the feedback.
Well, not necessarily, because if it's a high-performing school, then they may be looking at ways to model that in other places.
Right? I just wonder, what benefit we're going to get from this overall as a school system.
Well, my goal, because I'm one of the reviewers in Calvert County, is to see things that are happening across the state and bring them back here that we can implement in our buildings.
Ms. Grennis?
One last question. Does a teacher have to have her master's to get the national board certification? Is that a
No.
prerequisite?
No, a teacher does not need a master's in order to get NBC. You just have to have 3 years' experience in order to be national board certified.
Do you know how we compare to other counties as far as nationally certified teachers? It's 19, that sounds kind of low to me, but maybe it's on par.
It is, compared to other counties, we are low, but then some counties are larger than us and have exponentially larger numbers. But because we are just starting this program I think the fee payment program helped to improve or increase our applicant numbers, but we are lower than many other school systems.
Dr. Sammons, I think Dr. Sanchez, I think she went through this
She did.
She is certified, and
Yes.
she said that it made a big difference because she was partnered up with others to go through it. Are they still involved in helping make decisions or recruit other teachers?
Most of our National Board Certified teachers help recruit by example, really. Some by word of mouth. I can't speak to how each of them are doing it, but we do have 4 National Board Certified teachers who served as facilitators last year to support and recruit candidates. And the goal is to bring in more for this year. That job posting is live currently, so we are encouraging more National Board Certified teachers to apply to that so that we can broaden and expand our support for those going through the process.
Thank you.
I mean, I thought the state was very wise in saying that this is a big undertaking for teachers. It is very time-consuming, it's hard, it's challenging, and therefore, but since it makes a teacher rethink their whole methodology of teaching, I've heard. And so, it's a difficult process, and we want to remunerate them if, accordingly. And so there's the $10,000 addition to their pay, which is also an incentive for us to get. So, yeah, I think in your weekly, you said something about 28 new things. That's good. That's great. People are showing interest in it. Thank you.
All right, there appears to be no further discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we will move into our Citizens Advisory Committee appointments. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm moving ahead.